So we have some inspector.
Your friends. Okay, Alexia's on. Okay.
Okay. So how you guys? You guys are still in Thailand? Or
Yes.
so do you plan to go home soon, or do you still stay here for during this
After the
time?
semester,
I see. So where you from, Mark?
Hungary.
Hungary. I see. Nice. And how about you, Alexia? Where you from?
Um, I'm from France.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. So, Ajahn Peter, should we get started or
Sure,
should we
please
wait
go,
for
go
someone?
ahead. Go ahead. There might be a few more
Merci pour
coming.
l'invitation.
Oui, j'ai entendu.
Ah,
mais en
d'accord.
fait,
You can go and start now. I guess.
Uh-huh.
You
Okay.
record
So,
this session.
Mark and Alice, maybe if you're not speaking right now, maybe it's better to mute the mic for a while, and then when you speak, maybe you can unmute the mic again.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alice is here.
Hello, Alice. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Okay. I
Cannot
don't think
hear.
Alice yet.
Yeah, we cannot hear from you, Alice.
non, je suis pas en mute. Hello?
Okay. Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you. So let's get started, Jean Peter. So would you like to say something first?
I've been saying too many things already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
before I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I know only a few of you guys are still in Thailand and watching this online class live, and many of you will be looking at it from the record file. So hopefully I try to do my best to give you the information that John Peter would like me to share regarding doing the logistic business in Thailand. Maybe this is not a very good time for conducting such a class, but anyway, the class must goes on. So let's try to do it the best way that I can to do. Normally, I like to speak to you during my lecture, so I like to be more interactive. So once in a while, maybe I will ask you your opinion and something about the thing that maybe you have experience regarding what we are discussing, so that will be more interesting during the discussion of these 3 hours. Ajahn, normally do we have a mid time break during the class, or we do it like?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. But it's really up to you. If you want to run straight through, that is okay also. But if you want to have a little break, maybe like after like 60 minutes or something. Because
Uh-huh.
when I teach online, usually I do have some breaks. Otherwise, my throats go really hurt too. If it's like 3 hours straight. So
Okay, yeah, let's see, because it will be like a quite tedious subjects regarding logistic as well. So okay, let me get started right now. So I will, do you guys see my share screen at the moment? Yeah, okay.
yes.
Yeah. So let me try to resize this. So thank you very much, John Peter and Thammasat University, for inviting me for today's lecture. So I will be talking to you about the logistic business in Thailand. Uh, uh, for short, I am right now a CFO of a listed company called JWD Logistics, which is what we call a third-party logistics service provider in Thailand and also in ASEAN region. We have the operation covering right now around 6 countries in ASEAN, including Thailand, and we have been doing this for more than 40 years already. So I will try to give you an overview about the logistic business, because I think most of you guys may be not so clear about what actually logistic is. because I think a lot of you guys are, I think today's people are getting more familiar to the word logistics because of e-commerce, and people are buying things, and some guys come to your home and deliver your stuff. So you think that is the logistic. Yes, that is part of logistic, but actually that is just one small part of the logistic or the total supply chain. But when we talk about logistics here, we are talking about the whole supply chain in terms of logistics in the global scale. So I like to give you an introduction about the logistic industry. What are they consisting of? There are so many parts of logistics uh, that involving moving and taking care of the inventory from the production until the end users. So in the first section of today's discussion, I will talk about the history of logistics and the evolution, and also the component of logistics service, so that you guys can understand what are different kind of business in terms of logistic industry, and which part of that business would be more interested if you want to do the business in Thailand. And also we will come to look at a smaller picture in terms of the logistics in Thailand and in the region. What are the opportunities and what are the interests? If you look into this kind of business in segment, what can you expect in terms of the growth and the opportunity that you can have? And also I have include a special section here today uh, for the case of the logistic and the business during the pandemic situation like this. What's going to happen and how it's going to develop, and how as a business and a service provider like a logistic like us, how can we do and react to this kind of situation. So this is the discussion that we're going to have today. So let's get started with the first page here. I don't know if you guys have already have a copy of my slide, but you can also look from screen right now because I'm sharing it to you. Uh, you can see here, this is the history of logistics and its evolution from the very first day. You know, logistics actually started from the military, same as many kind of technology and development that happens today start from the military, because at the time of the war, you're gonna need to have the ways to efficiently move the goods, move the supplies or the arms and guns and everything. So those kind of thing has been designed and find some efficient way to move things with the army so that they can have advantage in the war. So that is the very first day of the logistic engineering that has been designed. And then after that, after the war has gone, it has like moved more into like a more business side, a commercial side, and it has been evolving into the international flow of goods. So there creates a shipping line and all those transportation of goods from international into domestic and to distribute it into each country. Uh, the logistic in the very first day may be not so efficient because it's like we have just start to try to move things around until a Japanese company comes and try to optimize their logistic. That is actually a Toyota cars manufacturer. They have invent a lot of process, which is actually in technical term in Japanese language they call it kanban, or sometimes we call it just-in-time logistic concept. With this kind of thing, the world of logistics has been changed, and it helps the traders and manufacturers to be able to optimize the way they manage their inventory and how they move the inventory more efficiently, so that they don't need to waste the cash flow or working capital into stocking their inventory or raw material. Okay, and after that, they have been trying to uh, uh, use more technology into the logistic, and they start to use some kind of computerized system, QR code, or some kind of automate system to help in doing inventory management. And then today's come when people are buying stuff from your mobile phone, and there have to be a lot of retail distribution. So it has come to today's which the retail distribution and e-commerce has been growing quite a lot, and now everyone is trying to manage the supply chain and cut out the middleman, trying to make sure that the price from the product, the manufacturer to the end user is as lean as possible. So have the price competition and all those things. In this kind of business world, logistics play a very key role in terms of minimizing the cost, because in many not so developed countries, the logistic cost comparing to the total product cost is very high. It could go up to like 20-25%. But in some countries where the logistics has been developed very well, it could be like a single digit, uh, like 8%, 6% of the total product cost. So that make a lot of difference in terms of the price competition, and make a competitive advantage in terms of people in the commercial world. So logistics has been like emphasized a lot every day. Today, there are so many logistics service provider, and you look at the service provider and you get confused. Who are they? What are they doing? There are so many names in the market right now, and what are the difference between these people? Are they all the same? So I would like to show you in this slide. Okay, this categorize the type of the logistics service provider, so that you can feel more understand and the classification of different type of logistics. Okay, uh, in this slide we show you like a 1PL, 2PL, 3PL, and 4PL. Okay, PL came from the party logistic. First party logistic is 1PL. First party logistic means it is the original manufacturer or shipper who owns the product itself. So we call these people 1PL, or first party logistics. Sometimes the first party logistics in the old days, maybe they try to send the product by themselves. Okay, that is very old days. But by doing that, it is very inefficient, because if every manufacturer or supplier will need to uh, make the manufacturing, sourcing the product, storing the product, and also transport the product to end user all by themselves, it will cost them a lot, because logistic is normally considered as a fixed cost for business. When you want to invest in logistics, you need to invest in the trucks, you need to invest in the warehouse, you need to invest in the logistic system, where if you cannot maximize its utilization, it means that basically your investment is waste, and there is a very high fixed cost in your cost structure. So the first PL model is very old, and right now I think most of the people are trying to avoid this kind of setup. So there have been some other people who trying to serve the 1PL. Then there comes 2PL, which is the second party logistic, who are basically the carrier or the trucking company who trying to provide the transportation service for the cargo owners. So this transportation service has been developed in order to facilitate the cargo owner to move the product without having to invest in the trucks, or even the sometimes they have to ship internationally, so they need shipping lines or airlines to ship by sea or air as well, sometimes by rail. So there are so many modes of transportation, and these people who provide the transportation service are called carriers and are known as the second party logistics, or 2PL. But what is most common today is what is called 3PL. It's a third party logistics, who actually providing the total logistics service for customer, not just transportation. But they also help to manage the inventory. They build warehouse. They use the warehouse to do the uh, distribution center. They also provide custom clearance when the things are getting import to the airport or to the seaport. They also do terminal operation for customer, and also do tracking and transportation of goods to end user as well. So this is the 3PL, which is a very important party in logistics world today. So you will hear a lot of names in terms of 3PL, a lot of big names like FedEx or DHL or Courier Logistics. They are all a very big 3PL global scale. Okay, I forgot to mention examples of the second party logistics, which is the transportation. You may know like TNT Transport. This is one of the example. They do mostly courier service, but they don't do warehousing. So this is a second party logistic. And the first party logistic is the manufacturer, like maybe, for example, in the food industry segment, you can think about Thai Union, TUF, or CP Food, something like that. That are the first party logistic. But in this figure, we also have the bottom one, which is the biggest one and the most influential one today, which is a 4PL. This is somehow quite a new development in terms of the logistics world, where the logistics service provider has evolved themselves, not just to provide logistics service to customer, but also to do the supply chain management. When we talk about supply chain, do you know what is supply chain? Yeah, I like to hear some from you as well. Do you know what is supply chain? Okay, Mark, can you help me on this? Have you heard about the word supply chain?
Yes, it's the way that from the manufacturer to from the suppliers, the process how it gets to the consumers.
Uh-huh.
Manufacturer and different people who help in the process.
Yes, right. Thank you so much. So supply chain basically is how you manage the product since the original until to the end user. So how can you manage the supply chain? Because the supply chain itself is not involving only the logistic, but it also involving, the sourcing of the product, the management of inventory, the procurement, and also, when you manage the inventory, you also need to manage its shelf life and all those things. Also, sometimes you need to also do the sourcing strategy. When you do the 4PL service to customer, you need to do sourcing for them. It means that you need to also know that business very well in order to source the raw material very efficiently for the customer. So with this kind of expertise, you can provide a total solution in terms of supply chain to customer, and we call this group of service provider a 4PL, which is actually what JWD is trying to be today. So I talk more about JWD group in Thailand, so you can see a more clearer picture about what we do and why we have become 4PL soon. But for now, just to get you understand the category of the actors in terms of the logistic world, where we have like 1, 2, 3, and 4PL. And actually, when dividing into 1, 2, 3, and 4PL, actually, if you look at the logistics chain and supply chain itself, you can look at this picture, which is a very simplified one, and you can see the clear picture of the whole supply chain management in terms of the global scale. Okay, if you do the supply chain management, you will start from doing the uh, management of supplier, doing the sourcing for the customer, and then once you try to source the product, okay, you need to ship it to your destination, maybe to the destination country where the factory is located in. So you're gonna need to have the international transportation service to transport these goods to the destination country. For example, you may need to use sea freight or air freight. Actually, I did not include the airlines and shipping lines into the discussion today because it's a very big business and it's maybe out of scope of the logistic that we are talking today. But what I'm talking about today is the freight forwarder, which is the people who are actually trading the shipment slot of the airlines and shipping lines, which I will cover soon. Okay, so you will use the freight forwarder to ship your product from the original location to the destination. Maybe the factory located in Thailand want to manufacture something. They want to import the raw material from Japan. So you need to source it from Japan and send through using the freight forwarding service to to Thailand. And once the product arrive in Thailand at their destination, it must get into the port. So if it come to the sea, it will go to the seaport. If it come from the plane or the airlines, it come to the airport. And at the airport or the seaport, there are a lot of terminal operation that needs to be done. I will cover this in a moment. Okay, and after the container or the goods are accepted at the port, it has to be moved to the container depot to manage the container and product inside. And after that, it will be transported domestically to the manufacturing factory. After the manufacturing process has been complete, it will be store uh, their inventory in the warehouse and distribution center, which is waiting for distribution. And then the transportation truck will distribute it to the hub in each region. And then the retail distributor will distribute the product to the end user. So this is the whole chain of supply that you can see in terms of when you look at the logistics. So you see, as I mentioned earlier, when you look at the e-commerce, the thing is really close to you guys today. It was actually like just the last part of the chain. So if you look at the whole chain of the logistic, it is really large and very lengthy, and also there are so many segments of logistic business that can be done. Okay, so I will try to give you a brief introduction into each of these business so that you can get a more clearer picture in terms of logistic business. The first one that I want to mention, actually, I just follow the flow of the previous page, is the freight forwarder. So here you see we have the freight forwarding service giving, they are the first hand touch with the customer. Freight forwarding has the real advantage in that they have the customer in their hands directly, because they are the real contact with the customer who wants to ship the product or want to import the product. They will contact the freight forwarder. They will never contact the shipping line or airlines by themselves. Maybe you want to import some goods from the US using the air. You use the freight forwarder to import that, but you will never contact Thai Airways or Air Asia or whatever airlines to try to transport that for you. Okay, because the airlines and shipping line will never talk to the retail customers. They will only talk to the big customer or the freight forwarder, because they want to sell a big chunk of their transportation slot, so that the freight forwarder will divide those big slots into a small slot and sell to the retail customer. So when you consider freight forwarding business, actually, in a sense, you can think about it as a trading company. It actually doesn't need any kind of investment. It just needs a good relationship between you and the supplier, which is the airline or shipping lines, and also the relationship between you and the customers. So with these kind of good managed relationship, they can buy and sell like a trading company, selling the slot of the transportation in the and in the airlines or shipping line to the customer. And the customer has a convenience such that the freight forwarding will take the product from their factory or from their door. It's called door-to-door service, and then do the custom clearance and all those export procedure, and contact the carrier until doing the import, and can send the product to the consignee at the end. So this freight forwarding business is a very what to say, simplest form of logistics service provider, which actually doesn't need any kind of a heavy investment. Okay. In this slide, I also put investment as an assets-less model. So if you want to do a very easy job in terms of logistics, you can consider freight forwarding, but they are also good and bad in terms of the freight forwarding, because when you do freight forwarder, definitely you don't need to invest on anything. So it is really much dependent on your relationship with your partners, which is the supplier and your customers. And also you don't need to invest on anything. If you have good relationship, you come with a small amount of cash and low investment, you can start business right away. Okay. And also, freight forwarding is one of the business that actually have a very high revenue because it is trading business. Okay, and also it has quite a short credit term also. So the cash flow will be quite large amount in terms of freight forwarding business. But also there are a lot of weaknesses in terms of freight forwarding. When you look at it, you see this business, because it is just a trading company, it has no niche in terms of its own competitive advantage apart from the relationship itself only. So there is pretty much very low margin in this business, and price sensitive a lot. If your competitor come to your customer and sell at a lower price, it is really likely that they will change. So there is no stickiness in terms of the customer. The margin is very low, but you don't need to invest much into this business, and it can generate a lot of revenue as well. So it depends on uh, in what kind of environment you are in, whether the freight forwarding business will be good or not so good. So you're gonna need to see the global trade route and the growth of the e-commerce and all those things that require the international shipment. So that kind of opportunity will be the things that the freight forwarder will look after when they will try to invest in any countries. But also, right now there are a lot of threat also into this industry, because it is a volume game. When you have a lot of customer, you can buy big slot from the airlines, you can get a cheaper price. Otherwise, if you are a smaller player, you will be crushed very easily. And as of today, one of the most affected business from the pandemic situation today is actually the freight forwarding, because the freight cost has been increased like 3 times today, because the airline shipping line, they stopped some of their charter part, and then the slot has been very small and it's become very expensive, and the freight forwarder also cannot acquire the slot to sell to their customer, so the price has becoming so expensive right now. It has go up like 2 or 3 times already, comparing to the normal condition. When you consider today, here is the investment I put for the freight forwarding. Actually, you only need around 10 to 20 million baht to start a freight forwarding company. You don't need to invest in a land or building. You can just rent an office, and you just need to invest a few in some kind of IT system. So that is pretty much all you need to do for a freight forwarding company. Okay, so that is the very first and one of the simplest form of the logistics service provider. Then I come to the second one, which is, let me go back to the slide here for you. You see, we have already covered this. So now we're gonna, oh, sorry. We have already covered this. So now we are going to look at the port. Okay, the port is the second thing that come in this flow. So what is the port? Port terminal is the place where the international shipment comes, okay, and goes. It's doing the operation in terms of import, export, and also sometimes they just do transshipment, which is what to say? Is this activity where you don't import or export the good directly, but the goods that was sent to this port was supposed to be transferred to another port, but it's just parked there for a while and then goes. So we call this transshipment. So basically, the port operation consists of import, export, and transshipment. Only these three. But in this tree itself, there are a lot of things that needs to be done, as I shown on these slides. And also, the port is a very big operation. It's one of the heaviest investment in terms of logistic business. So you see, one of the top ports in ASEAN, as shown here, is top 5 port. The one with the largest traffic today is Port of Singapore, and followed by the one in Klang in Malaysia. Okay, and then we have the one in Tanjong, Malaysia, and then Lam Chabang port, which is the main deep sea port of Thailand, come number 4 in ASEAN. And then we have the port of Saigon in Vietnam. So these are 5 largest ports in ASEAN countries. And this is a diagram of the Lam Chabang port in Chonburi province. Okay, this is the one. I really like you to have a chance to visit this Lam Chabang port, which is it is one of the most important, I think, strategic investment of the government of Thailand, and right now also part of the EEC project of the government, if you have heard about that. Yeah. So in Lam Chabang port itself, you see that it has been divided into so many port itself. You see here, this is the port called A port and B port and C port. Okay, and you know right now they are trying to build a port here called Lam Chabang Phase 3. This is a D port, which is will double the capacity of Lam Chabang port as of today. So these are the main players that doing business in Lam Chabang today. Some of them also a listed company. They are quite large. Here also, this is Nam Yung terminal. This is one of a specialized port comparing to others. If you look at the normal ports, if you just do the import and export of the container as a main activities, but for Nam Yung terminal here, you see that they are working on, do you know what it is? They are what we call Ro-Ro terminal. Ro-Ro terminal is roll on, roll off terminal. Just used dedicatedly for transporting the cars. So when you import and export the car, mainly in Thailand, you do through Nam Yung terminal. This is a concessionaire given in Lam Chabang port. So Nam Yung is quite a big operation there in terms of the automotive industry. And also apart from the seaport in Lam Chabang, also the airport is one of the very important strategic logistic investment. Also in Thailand, we have like Suvarnabhumi Airport, and we also trying to develop some other airport as well, like in Eakapong that we are trying to develop today. You know, apart from the seaport and airport, there are also some another kind of port which is quite interesting. What I show you on this page is called a barge terminal. I don't know if you have heard the word barge. Barge is one kind of a transport ship like this. The barge is actually a ship that used to transport containers through the river. Okay, through the river. So in the old days in Thailand, the logistic transportation are most developed only in the mode of the road transport. So mostly when you want to transport product in Thailand, you need to do it through the trucking. And if you want to do other domestic transport through the rail or through the river, it is so much underdeveloped. So right now, the government has been trying to push the development in this mode we call multimodal transportation, so that they try to shift the mode of transport from the road into the river or also into some other mode like to the rail, something like that. So this is what they are trying to push, and right now they have just opened up a new barge terminal in Lam Chabang, which actually JWD group has been awarded to operate this barge terminal. The operation has just started this January. So this port is basically used to serve the river barge to transport the container from domestically into Lam Chabang and then change into the larger mother ship in order to ship internationally. So this is also another thing about the port, which is maybe a little bit different from what we may think about the port, but actually this is also can be considered one kind of the port, which is the rail yard management. Yeah, so this is also one kind of port, but instead of manage the container that came through the air or came through the sea or the river barge, this container came to the rail. So Lam Chabang also now trying to develop the rail management because they want to optimize or making the rail transportation becoming more popular, which is also part of the plan of the government right now. So this is also another operation that has been developed for the last few years in Lam Chabang. This is also operated actually by JWD Group itself. So when talking about the port, we are talking about a very large investment amount. You can think about 500 minimum or up to 1 billion baht in order to start investing in a small port. So when you want to invest in this kind of business, it will require a lot, and normally only big giant or MNC can do this, and a local player normally trying to avoid doing this, but they are looking into some other smaller investment instead. But the port itself is quite influential, I would say, in terms of the logistics supply chain, and also important role in terms of the linkage with the international trade route. So this is SWOT analysis I gave about the port operator. I think you can study about this later, because I think I want to go a little bit faster now. When the product came through the port, it must be parked in some location, because the product, when they ship through the shipping line or in the airlines, normally it will put in the container, and then after it has been clearing of the custom at the port, they need to park the container in the container depot. Sometimes they call it an ICD, or inland container depot. This is the place where you use to manage the goods inside the container itself. You can do the stuffing or unstuffing of the product inside the container, and then start distributing to the end user in the country. So this is the place where you do activities with the goods inside the container itself. This kind of thing also require quite a large amount of investment. And in Thailand right now, there is only one location as considered as the main location of the ICD, which is we call ICD Lat Krabang. ICD Lat Krabang is close to Suvarnabhumi Airport. This is the only and largest ICD location that has been certified and allowed by the custom to do the ICD activities, and there are long history regarding this ICD port. If you look at the ICD Lat Krabang in the news, you see that there are a lot of effort by the government to try to put a concession into this operation, because in the old days there are like 5 or 6 giant operator operating in ICD Lat Krabang. But right now the government is trying to consolidate into just one concessionaire holders, and they are trying to put this concessionaire on bidding, and it has been failed for like 3-4 years in a row already. So this is one example. When you want to do some kind of business in Thailand, it's not so easy, especially if the benefit is large and it involves so many parties. There are so many chances that your effort will be wasted, because these people has been trying to do the bidding for the concessionaire of ICD Lat Krabang for so many times, and still until today it still have not been successful. So we still have to look and see how long it goes. And anyway, anyone who get this concessionaire will get a lot of money, I could say that. And you're gonna need the investment of like around 300 to 500 million baht at least in order to operate this kind of thing. Okay. When you have the container come through the port, when you have the container arranged and managed inside the ICD, after that the goods has been unstuffed from the container, then you put them in a warehouse in order to keep them and try to manage the inventory. So the warehouse is very simple. You can think about a structure that's used to store the stuff, but also when you think about warehouse, also you need to think about technology that we need to put into the warehouse in order to efficiently manage it. So take a look at this kind of photo from the warehouse. This is an example of the modern warehouse that we are operating as of today. So you're gonna need to have a really structured racking system, and also how to control the inventory. Some of the inventory in the warehouse are also perishable. It means that you need to manage its expiry date. So you're gonna need to have a good software in order to manage this kind of thing. There are so many players operating the warehouse in Thailand right now, but there are so many kinds of warehouse as well. What you see on this slide is just a simple, typical what we call a general warehouse. But actually, there are so many kinds of specialized warehouse as I show you here. One of this is a cold storage warehouse. I used to bring a lot of visitors to visit our cold storage warehouse, which is quite exciting for them because it is very cold, and uh, the temperature inside the cold storage is normally put at around minus 18 degrees. And also we have the freezing room that goes beyond that up to minus 40 degrees Celsius in order to freeze the product before putting into the cold storage. So the cold storage warehouse is used mainly to store the temperature control products such as food products or some food ingredients, and also some of the pharmaceutical products also require temperature control room like this. So the cold storage warehouse is a special kind of warehouse that is require some kind of specialization and some expertise in terms of the design and operate efficiency in terms of the temperature control, ventilation, and all those things. So this is one of the more niche type of the warehouse service that we are having in Thailand. Also, there are some other kind of warehouse such as the warehouse that is designed specifically to store chemical and dangerous goods. So you need a special kind of warehouse to store chemicals and some dangerous goods, which is like some acid or corrosive substance or some explosive, something like that. You're gonna need a fireproof wall. You have to get a very special kind of extinguishing system and the epoxy floor and all those things, provided that you can manage if some leakage happen. So this also a special kind of warehouse, which also meaning that you need to have more investment. And on the other hand, you have more revenue and profitability from this kind of specialized warehouse. This is also another kind of warehouse that not just used to store the stuff in, but we use this for distribute. We call it a distribution center. Basically, the stuff that need to be distributed around the country are put in the distribution center, and it will be equipped with a sorting system. You see here a lot of rails and all these system putting on the boxes on this rail are used to sort are sort into different destinations. So this is more closer to what you can expect from the e-commerce world right now. For example, if you have purchased your stuff from Lazada, or you have been uh, getting the product sent by Courier Logistics or Courier Express, DHL, something like that, all these people, they have a distribution center equipped with this kind of sorting center in order to send the stuff into different zip code or different area in the country. They need to have a very efficient system to sort the product. Okay, and uh, the capability of sorting these boxes is very huge, and the size of this distribution center is really large. I used to visit a sorting center in Korea with our partner CJ Logistics, which is actually a Korean post. The size of the distribution center that they have is like equal to around four, four times the football field, the soccer field, four times. And the capability of sorting is around 1.7 million boxes per day. So you can think about that size and the growth of the e-commerce and potential of how you can do business in this kind of segment. In Thailand, also right now, a lot of people have been invested in this distribution center, not counting the Thai Post, which is the very first organization to do this kind of courier and distribution center service. But right now, you can think about Lazada Express, you can think about Courier Express, Base Logistics, and so many names. They all build the distribution center in Thailand, and the sorting capability in Thailand is really huge right now. When you talk about the investment in terms of the warehouse, it depends on what kind of technology you put in the warehouse. If you do just a normal warehouse, it can cost you around maybe just 150 million baht. But if you want to put technology in, like if you want to do a chemical warehouse, if you want to do the cold storage warehouse, or if you want to like do the distribution center, you can invest up to like 300 to 500 million baht. So these are the things that you're gonna need to think about when you want to operate a warehouse in Thailand. Okay. So Those are the warehousing activities. But after you do warehousing, you need to start to transport them. So the next group of logistics service provider is called transportation. The name is very clear and very straightforward. If you talk about the domestic transport, you can think about the road transport. You can think about the rail transport. You can think about the river transport. But if you look at the international transportation, you can include the air or the sea transport as well. So basically, there are four main types of transportation in terms of logistic world. We call it air and sea and land and rail. So depend on which mode you want to use. And as of today, there are so many emphasis on how we can uh, shift the mode of transportation so that when you want to transport from one location to another location, how you can make it most efficient and less time consuming, or how can you control the timing of transportation from one to destination A to B. So uh, they are trying to promote what we call multimodal transportation, which means you use multiple modes of transportation. For example, you may use the road, and then you shift to the river, and then you shift to rail until you reach destination. So this kind of thing is called a multimodal transportation. Okay. When you think about transportation, you think about the truck. Sometimes you think about the small motorcycle. So these are the common picture that you see every day. Okay, there are so many operators doing transportation in Thailand right now, as the name shows on this screen. Okay, and the multimodal transportation, as I mentioned earlier, right now, this is the main priority of the government in terms of promoting the logistic activity in Thailand. They try to shift from the single mode, which is the road transport, into the multimodal transportation to include the rail or the river before shipping to the sea or the air. So these are the transportation, which actually not require very high investment. You look at the transportation, if you can buy a truck, or you can start doing some leasing a truck from some financial institution, then you can need only maybe a few uh, 10 millions or 20 or up to 40, 50 millions baht. You can start this kind of business in Thailand already. But it also depends on what kind of goods you are focusing on transport. If you just transport typical or general goods, maybe the competition will be high. You will not get very high margin on that. If you select to uh, transport some more niche product like chemicals or a car or something like that, or temperature control product, you need to invest more and the profitability will be more and competition will be less. So it depends on what type of transportation that you're looking at. Okay. After we do the transportation, normally the transportation will not run directly to the home, but they will run to what we call a hub location. A hub location is a place, a small place, maybe just a small room, a small, what to say, a small office or a small shop that you see on the street uh, to put the product in, unload from the truck, and then you have the motorcycle fleet or small pickup truck fleet to send those products to the customer's home. This is called a retail distribution. This is actually the one that you see every day when you order the product from Lazada or Shopee or the e-commerce platform, whatever. So the retail distribution has been very popular and has making a lot of money today. One of the best example is the Curry Express, which is actually Hong Kong owned company. Curry Express has been in Thailand for a really long time. I would say more than 10 years, and they have been trying to build a network and burning a lot of cash. I would say they have suffered a lot of loss for more than 10 years before they become really profitable today. Uh, we need to say they look forward for the future, and I think that investment is worthwhile. Right now they have partnered with the BTS group, so become very large right now. Also, Thai Post is actually the government owned and also a very original retail distribution service in Thailand. Thai Post is a bit lacking right now. but they are trying to keep up, and the development that they have been trying to do for the past few years has been quite good. Right now, they are trying to tap more potential of e-commerce, and hopefully they can start to getting up and compete with the foreign players that come into Thailand. Okay, when you look at the investment in terms of retail distribution, actually this one is a bit heavy. You know, it's not like transportation. You may think that, hey, when you do transportation, you normally you transport with a bigger truck, while you need less investment. You know, when you want to do the retail distribution, you're gonna need to have the coverage of the whole countries. You cannot just do retail distribution in Bangkok. You die because you don't have enough volume to cover your costs. So if you want to do retail distribution and tap the potential of e-commerce, you need to have the national or nationwide coverage network. With that kind of requirement, you're going to need to have the small hubs in every main province around the country. And you need to have a fleet of motorcycle and pickup trucks and everything everywhere. So these kind of requirement put quite an intensive investment capital into this business. So you normally need at least 150 to 300 million baht in order to build this kind of fleet to start covering the countries. So these are basically covering all the supply chain that we mentioned in the first page. Okay, but there are also one more things about the logistics that I like to mention, which is called inventory financing. Okay, when we talk about the logistics, we think about managing the goods, transporting the goods, how to control the goods, and how to move the goods to the customer as fast as possible. But actually, as I mentioned earlier, right now there are development in terms of logistic business. We are not trying just to be just a logistics service provider. We are trying to help the customer to also manage their supply chain. And with doing that, we need to have the sourcing capability. We need to have the financing capability. We need to have expertise in terms of the market of the raw material. So with this kind of expertise combining with the logistic capability, we can do what we call the inventory financing and supply chain management. Okay, this is actually what we call what we trying to be the I said a lot of logistics service provider trying to be the 4PL in the very first page that we mentioned. So the inventory financing is the key thing that logistic player today is looking into. For example, this is the activity that we are actually doing for one of our partner. JWD is doing the sourcing of the mozzarella cheese for Minor International. If you know, Minor International is the owner of the pizza restaurant chain in Thailand, and the mozzarella cheese that they use in their restaurant are mostly sourced by JWD. We have been uh, awarded by Minor to do the sourcing of the mozzarella cheese from multiple suppliers, and then we do a lot of processing into this cheese as well. So not just buying the product, but we also need to do some kind of mixing and processing, value adding activities, and also doing the packing and storage until ship into the shops. So this kind of service we give to customer give us a total supply chain solution, and that what makes the 3PL people moving into a new phase of logistics service, which is called 4PL. This kind of thing also require quite a lot of capital requirement, because if you want to do inventory financing, you got to need to buy inventory and keep by yourself. It means you need to have some amount of working capital. So minimum cash that you're gonna need to do this kind of business maybe up to 100 million baht. So this is another thing about logistic world that is happening today. And in summary, the business that I have mentioned since the first one until inventory financing, you see, I have sorted it by the capital required in order to do this business. So you can see how much amount of money you need to put in into each particular type of logistic business, and what you can expect from that kind of investment in return. Okay, so hopefully this just give you overall picture of how the logistic is and what are the components or different types of logistic business are. Because when we talk about logistics today, people don't understand. They think about logistics as the courier logistics, courier express, or somebody think about it as a freight forwarding. But actually, there are so many activities in terms of logistic industry that can be done, and there are so many players that people just don't know because they have not contact with those players directly. Okay, so I have used about an hour right now for the introduction about the business. Let me give you just a brief introduction about JWD Group so that you can understand a more clearer picture about what the activities of JWD that we are doing. Think about it as just an example of how a logistic company operates in Thailand. We are just one example of them. Okay, so I have a very short video clip to share to you. So let me try to uh, play it for you right now. Okay.
We are living a life filled with logistics. We therefore think like no other. The world of logistics is changing every day. We have to work faster and know everything. We have to be the first who meet all of your specific needs as much as possible. And these are our 4 core businesses. Logistics and supply chain, food supply chain, IT solutions, investment. We specialize in logistics and supply chain services, or B2B. Chemicals and dangerous goods management services, with attentiveness and comprehensive thinking that puts safety first. Automotive logistics services that meet the stringent standards of the automotive industry. Our food and cold chain services have high standards to maintain quality and freshness. General and free zone warehouse management. Transportation and distribution. Freight forwarding and supply chain management. Document storage and information management. Project cargo logistics. In addition to logistics and supply chain services for B2B, JWD offers ones for B2C clients, including relocation service, self-storage, safe deposit, and fine art logistics solutions. E-commerce logistics. Logistics infrastructure to ensure smooth connectivity through multimodal transportation. Today, JWD capitalizes on our insight and expertise to expand into overseas markets with an aim to strengthen a business network that covers ASEAN. Our food supply chain management services take advantage of our worldwide network, working for you throughout the entire supply chain. Information technology solutions for logistics enable the use of technology in business operations and the development of new business models. Investments business. As we live our lives filled with logistics, difficult tasks and challenges are always emerging. Today, with our experience and the journey of thinking like no other, all tasks and challenges can always be handled. We are taking the next step forward to become your most preferred global logistics and supply chain solution provider.
Okay. Just a moment. Okay. So how are you guys? Is everyone okay now? Huh? It's a bit tedious, I think, because when we talk about logistic industry, it could be somehow a little boring. I understand. Okay. So I will try to talk to you more right now because after we went through all those logistic basic already. So from now on, I will talk about JWD Group as an example of how the logistic company in Thailand operate. What we are esteemed to be is we are trying to be one of the logistic player in Thailand that is actually Thai owned to compete with the foreigner because most of the biggest player in terms of logistics in Thailand and in the region are foreign companies. Right now, they are dominating by like Japanese, Korean, or some European and US, something like that. So there are no Thai players that really be able to compete with these people. So that is why we list the company and we are trying to gain our capabilities in order to be one of the regional players. And as of today, I think JWD, we have just celebrated 40 years of operation last year. So this year we are at the 41st year of operation. And this 41st year has been welcomed by a pandemic situation. So that is like a very big hit into our operation as well, which I will talk about it very soon. Okay, for now, let me try to give you a very brief introduction about our business. And as you can see from this page, these are the main categories of service that JWD have today. Okay, our main revenue uh, last year we have a revenue of around 3.6 billion baht in total. We have 300 and around 350 million baht profit last year, and the revenue are mostly contributed from the part of business called warehouse and yard management, in which in this warehouse I think I have already talked about all these keywords before, so you guys should understand what they are. We doing warehouse and yard management, and this activity has contributed around 56-57% for our total revenue. In this warehouse actually has been further divided into four main categories, which is the general warehouse, chemical warehouse, automotive warehouse, and food and cold chain warehouse. Also, we do transportation and distribution, which contribute around 14%. We do relocation, which is the moving of people, not the people itself, but the people stuff. I mean, we do relocation of expat in and out of Thailand. We do relocation of people from the embassy, something like that, in and out of Thailand. Also, we do relocation of the household and factory in Thailand. These contribute around 8% to our revenue. We also have a food service department, which dealing mostly with the food industry, contribute around 18%. And also we do document storage, also about 3%, and some other supporting business, just 1%. Let's take a look at the first one here. This is the warehouse complex that we have in Lam Chabang. This is a Lam Chabang port. And inside the Lam Chabang Industrial Estate itself, right now JWD has occupied around half of the warehousing space that is available from the Port Authority of Thailand. This is the eagle view photo of our Lam Chabang complex. We have more than 400 rai of land operating logistics inside Lam Chabang itself. Okay, so and we also, apart from doing just the normal warehouse, we also doing the dangerous good and chemical management. This is the concessionaire that we have from Port Authority of Thailand. We are controlling the traffic of all dangerous goods and chemicals that coming through Lam Chabang port, whether import or export. If it must come through Lam Chabang, it has to be controlled by one single point for safety, and that is JWD Group. So this has been done for like, this is the 19th year we have been with this concessionaire. We still have like 11 more years to go with this concession, and we are looking to extend it right now. Okay, it has been quite good business actually. This one is a cash collecting business also, because it's a terminal operation, which is quite significant for us. Another one important business that we have is the warehouse, which is a cold chain. This is the example cold storage we have in Mahachai. We also have cold storage in Suwinthavong, which is in Cheng Sao province, part of the EEC as well. And we also have another location in Bang Na, close to Suvarnabhumi Airport. In total, we have the total storage capacity of more than 100,000 tons right now. In terms of the public cold storage, I think we can say that we are the one with the largest capacity in Thailand. And we also do automotive logistics. This is the actual photo from our yard in Lam Chabang. We are doing the automotive logistics for automaker in Thailand. I think almost all brands we are covering right now. Our most important clients are Nissan Motors and Isuzu Motors, which is the largest pickup truck manufacturer. And we also cover a lot of brands like Mitsubishi, Mazda, Ford, General Motors. We also do Tata Motors and many European brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Audi. We all do for them. So these are the activities we do for them, and it's not just for parking the car. What we do is to manage the part since their import and send those parts to the manufacturing line, help them to do line sequencing, manufacture the car. When the car is finished, we do inspection, we park the car in the yard and prepare the car for the final export. So the whole loop of logistics service that we give to the automaker in Thailand. So this is one of very important business that we have today as well. So those four are the main activity in terms of warehouse, which contribute around 56 or 57%. The next business is transportation and distribution. So we have the fleet to transport many kind of goods, including cars. So you see here, our truck are carrying supercars, transporting around the country. Actually, this is a actual photo. I think most of the supercar club in Thailand are using our service when they want to go driving in the north, in Chiang Mai, Mae Hong Son, or whatever. They also use JWD service because our CEO is actually a member of this club as well. So that's why we have a lot of this job. Okay. Apart from the warehouse, apart from transportation, we do relocation. We help people move around, move their house, move from country to countries. We have agents around the world to help them to move. Also, we do domestic move for households in Thailand. So this is actually our first business 41 years ago. Right now, we have been evolving into so many kind of diversified business, but this is actually our first business that we do and still doing today. We also do a special kind of service called self-storage. I'm not so sure some of you guys familiar with this. Self-storage, I think it has been quite popular in many countries. And right now in Thailand, it's starting to gain more popularity. We are also doing this kind of service. And right now we have 5 locations around Bangkok to provide the self-storage service. It's been quite good because, you know, after we launching this service, we found out that our initial target customer was like a household, residential, something like that. But what really happened today is that the people who come and use our self-storage are actually the SME and the merchant that they sell, like the e-commerce, trader, something like that. Some of them rent a very big room, you know, and they store their stuff. I used to go to the self-storage and watch them. They put a studio light and the camera there, and they do the Facebook Live from our self-storage to sell their shoes, you know. So that has become like a new kind of application of self-storage that has been quite popular now, and it has helped our business to grow. So this is one of the interesting newer business that we are getting into just a few years ago. This is also one interesting warehousing type that maybe you guys not so familiar. You know, warehouse is not just to use to store inventory or stuff. You also need to use it to store something that you don't use, but you need to keep it like the document. So in many countries, including Thailand, there are laws that you need to keep a lot of document for like 5 years, 10 years. In some business like the insurance or credit card, they need to keep the application of their customer as long as the credit card is still valid or the insurance is still valid. So they don't have the space to put. So we built a warehouse to just store these documents. This was also really old business. It's like more than 30 years ago. Right now we have store. You see, each of these is a box. We have a standard size box. You see, yeah. Each of these boxes contain document file, and in total right now we have more than 1 million boxes in storage right now. Yeah, and it's full. You know, and this kind of warehouse is interestingly very labor intensive. You know, this is just the front of the warehouse, but you know, you can imagine it was like 500 meter deep into the warehouse that people need to go there to extract just one document if the customer needs. So we have to hire a lot of staff to operate this warehouse. And right now we are developing this with the technology. Right now we are building a new document storage warehouse with a robotic system, which I will talk about it for you soon. I have a part to discuss about technology and logistics. That is very interesting. Okay, but this also one of the, you know, data storage seems to be like a small business. And actually it does not contribute much if you go back at the revenue distribution page. You see this business only contribute around 3%. But you know, this business is the one with the highest gross profit margin. This one we have more than 65% gross profit margin because document is just sitting there. It once it's come here, it will never go anywhere. It will just stay there. So we'll collect the money every month from the customer. So this is one good business. But right now, it's starting to get like a bit obsolete because the physical documents start to get used less and less. So right now we also develop our document storage or data storage service into more digitalized, like doing the scanning, storage on cloud, mobile application. This is what we are deploying to customer right now. So we are putting a lot of new technology into our service at the moment. So those are pretty much the service that JWD has. I hope you have a quite rough idea. There are one thing that I forgot to mention in this slide also. JWD today, we are not just doing business in Thailand. Okay, we are expanding into the region. Right now, we have operation in Cambodia. We have operation in Myanmar, in Laos, in Indonesia, and also we have a partner operation in Vietnam as well. We also have a subsidiary doing the food business in Taiwan. So we have like around 6-7 countries of operation at the moment. We are trying to go this way because when we look at the logistic in Thailand, you know, when you look at the logistic business in the country, the logistic can only grow as fast as the other business grows. So you can look at the GDP growth. You can look at the volume of trading or other commercial business are doing, and logistic will serve those people. So when you look to do logistic in Thailand, you need to look at how fast each of these segments can grow. We are doing chemicals, we are doing food and cold chain, we are doing automotive, we are doing general warehouse. So we need to look at each particular segment, how much growth you can expect from each of these industries. And when you look at it, you can expect how much growth in terms of your revenue and profitability you can have every year. But when you look back into Thailand, and the development of the GDP growth for the past like 4 or 5 years, you see that the growth is slower and slower and slower every year. So right now we can expect like really low percentage of growth in terms of GDP, or maybe this year with this kind of situation, it will be minus. So the only way that a logistic company can grow fast is to capture the market growth of the emerging countries. That's why we need to move our expertise in terms of cold chain, in terms of chemicals, and also automotive in the future into other countries. Right now, we have cold chain operation in Cambodia. Cambodia is growing very fast now. They have like a GDP growth of around 6%, 7%. Vietnam also 7%, 8%. Myanmar right now not so fast, but in the future it will be very fast. That's why you see when you do logistics, you need to really look into the place where you can really capture the demand of logistics and the growth of the market. And you cannot just stay still here. Many people say Thailand is the central geographic location of ASEAN. We can stay here and very successful with logistics. That is just partly true. Okay, we can use Thailand as a base. But if you just stick as a doing operation in this country, it may not be enough if you want to grow faster. Okay, if you look at the double-digit growth rate, you cannot do only in Thailand unless you try to do some new business or capture some new market segment. But if you stick with what you are expert in and stay in Thailand, it's difficult to get a double-digit growth these days. That's why we are expanding overseas. And that's what brings to the next section is the logistic opportunities for logistic business people in Thailand. You know, do you guys need some break, or you need me to just go through it and maybe we finish a little bit earlier?
Can continue if you are okay with it.
Okay, you don't need any break, right?
No.
Okay, okay. So okay, let me try to uh, uh, explain you regarding the logistic business opportunity in Thailand. Then, okay. So as I mentioned, you know, when you look at Thailand itself, definitely there are opportunity in terms of logistics. There are many things that we think about opportunity in terms of logistics in Thailand. Okay, before I get into more detail about this, okay, let me ask you some question. Uh, I already briefed you about the logistic industry in Thailand. Okay, you get a basic understanding of what logistics are, what kind of activities are there, and I think you guys have been in Thailand for quite a while, and you have been studying about the business environment in Thailand already. So, I would like to have your opinion on the logistic opportunities in Thailand. In your opinion, if you are given uh, uh, a significant amount of money for investing in logistics, okay, what would you be interested in doing so and why? Okay, so Alexia, could you help me on this?
Can you repeat your question, please?
If you are given a big amount of money to invest in logistics in Thailand, what kind of logistic business would you think about and why?
Maybe, comment dire? Celle avec les avions. Flight, logistique.
Yeah. Because, for example, you can think about the logistic business types that I have explained to you earlier. There are so many kind of logistic operation, right? So if you're looking to do logistic business in Thailand today, what type of logistic service would you be interested in? Yeah. Too difficult?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's fine. I understand. Maybe anyone else can help me. Let me try to see. It's really I'm not so used to using the Zoom in doing this lecture actually. So who else are here? Si Yuan. Si Yuan, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, Si Yuan, can you help me on this?
I'm not sure about the answers.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, Mark, do you have any opinion?
Maybe warehousing.
Warehousing?
Yeah, because all you need is a big storage where you can just put your stuff, and you don't need to feed it, you don't need to take care of it. It just stays there, and you are getting the money because you store the stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You know what is the beauty of doing warehouse is that whenever they put the stuff in your warehouse, you get money. You know, whether the business is running or not, you get the money. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, especially right now, the business is not running, we're still getting money because they don't have any place to put their stuff anymore. So they need to put in the warehouse. So we get the money from their rent, but no operation. Normally we get money from warehouse. There are two activities. The first part would be the rent, and the second part would be the value added service, meaning that you do some handling activities, putting some labels, sorting, inventory management, whatever so on. You get money from the customers. So normally you need to have you want customer to have a lot of activities so that you can get money more than just a rent. But at least at the end of the day, if you don't have anything, you still can have the rent. So that is the beauty of the warehouse, you know. But the warehousing in Thailand, the last 3 years, it has been like very oversupply. So the general warehouse itself is like unused because there are some business in Thailand. I wouldn't mention the name, but they are good people, but they're trying to develop a lot of warehouse and then sell. Okay, develop and sell. Sell into what we call a REIT structure. Do you know a REIT structure? REIT structure is a real estate investment trust. REIT. Real estate investment trust. This real estate investment trust is a trust, is a security instrument that was sold in the stock market. People buy this trust unit, and the trust buying the real estate, for example, the warehouse, and gaining some revenue from the warehouse and pay dividend or interest to the trust unit holder. So the people are building warehouse, selling to the trust, and trust giving them a big amount of money, they get a profit. And then the trust has a obligation for the investor to try to find the people to rent it and get the money back to the investor, something like that. And people are doing what we call financial engineering. Have you ever heard the word financial engineering?
No.
Yeah, it's a way that how you make money with some kind of sophisticated mechanism. But it's a good mechanism. It's not a bad mechanism. You build warehouse, you sell, you get a lot of money, you get a profit. And you build a lot of warehouse and sell, get a lot of profit again. And the REIT, okay, they don't have money. They just sell the trust unit to the investor in the stock market, and then they get that money, sell to the landlord, give money to the landlord to buy the warehouse, and then rent it out to get the rent to pay the investor as an interest. So this has been happening a lot in the last, I think, 3 to 5 years. And what happened in Thailand is that the general warehouse has been flood and overflow. I mean, the supply is so much, and then the pricing has been dropping down because nobody, I mean, the demand is lower than the supply, and the price is very sensitive. So the warehousing itself has become less interesting during the past 2 3 years. Yeah, but interestingly, last year the thing has been changing a bit because of the trade war. Let me just share you some experience. When people talk about trade war, they talk about China and US problem and all those problem with the trade lane and supply chain. People always ask how would that impact Thailand and how would that impact the logistics industry in Thailand. In some in some segment it does impact, because if your supply chain needs to link through China before it goes to some country, or your supply chain needs to come from China to Thailand before it go to some country, it will affect, you know. But if your job is not that kind of thing, you know, you could benefit from that, you know. Last year there are a lot of manufacturers, okay, moving out of China because of the trade war. For example, we used to do logistics for Tumi bags. You know Tumi, right? Tumi bags. Yeah. We used to do all logistics for them. And then after Samsonite took over Tumi, they moved the manufacturing base to China. They moved to China. And after 1 or 2 years, there is a trade war. So they had to move out. Now Tumi come out of China. And a lot of other brands come out of China. And you know where they go? They have to come to Thailand, or come to Cambodia, or come to Vietnam. So luckily, JWD has operation in all 3 countries. So we receive a lot of benefit in terms of people move out from China last year. And the oversupply situation of the warehousing has been reducing, because there are a lot of demand in terms of warehouse space usage, because people are moving out of China last year. So that is one thing that's quite interesting, because people, when they think about the trade war, they will think about negative impact, but they don't know actually there are some also positive impact to us, or to some players as well. So what I telling you right now is that there are I mean, when you do business, you need to be you need to be diversified. You need to be diversified, meaning that you cannot stick to just one kind of business or one geographic location. If you stay in Thailand only, if there are some problem happen with Thailand, then you die. But if you can have operation in some other places, like in Cambodia, Vietnam, or some other countries, you can somehow mitigate some risks. You know, for example, as right now the COVID situation in Thailand become very serious. We don't know when the shutdown will happen. We don't know. If the 24-hour shutdown is enforced, then a lot of business will fall, I think. But on the other hand, you know, right now the situation in Cambodia is not that bad. There are not so many infections happening in Cambodia, and the trade in Cambodia is still really good. We're still making a lot of money from there. And it's a pity that our manager, that the Thai manager that we sent to look after the business in Cambodia, cannot come home right now, but they need to look after the business over there. But they are doing good business. Also in Vietnam right now, you know, Vietnam, they closed their country already. But I think it is a good decision from Vietnam government, because I mean, the infection rate is not as high in Vietnam, still very low. But still they want to prevent the situation from getting worse and uncontrollable, so they cut it right now. So what we believe is that in Vietnam the situation will improve very early, and then it will recover very soon. So that also will be very positive for us, because we have investment there. So you know, when you do business, you cannot just stick to just one geographic location or one segment of business. You see, JWD itself, as I explained to you earlier, we are doing so many things. Even with the warehousing, we do so many kind of warehouse. We do general warehouse, which stick with the general industry, general trade. We do cold chain, which is mostly focused on the food. We do automotive logistics, which is the auto industry. We do the dangerous goods terminal, which is stick with the chemical and manufacturing industry. So there are diversification in terms of business portfolio. There are diversification in terms of the geographic location. So this kind of thing, when it comes, it helps you to survive, or to grow faster, or have advantage to competitor. So when you look at doing logistic business, sometimes you need to look into the opportunity in that countries. In Thailand, I would say right now, the one of the most interesting logistics segment that we may look into would be e-commerce. I would say e-commerce, because e-commerce is growing so fast. Actually, I have a slide about e-commerce right here. Let me talk about it a bit. Yeah, you see the growth in terms of the gross market size is very significant and it's still growing every year. Especially, with this kind of pandemic situation, people change their behavior and many people start to come out and talk right now. After the pandemic is resolved, the post-pandemic world, how it's gonna be. People think about the change of behavior of people. Right now, they're getting familiar with buying things online. It's already very popular, but right now everyone must rely on it. So the opportunity is there. So e-commerce is one thing that is very interesting if you will look to do business. But definitely, when you look into e-commerce, it's not that just you can jump into that business directly because there are a lot of big players, and if you get there without having enough cash or enough network or whatever so on, you could die very very fast. So this kind of thing is the thing that we need to put in consideration. And also one of the good example when you're doing the business, not just logistics, but logistics is one good example, is that you look at some developing countries, how their logistic business is growing, in what direction. And you look at some countries that are following us. You look at Thailand 20 years ago, you see what has been improving and what segment of logistics is good. You now can look at Cambodia. You now can look at Vietnam, and they will follow the same path, maybe a bit faster than us as well, because they have some fast track technology and everything. But you will know in which segment of business you should tackle in, and which and at what time. In Myanmar right now, everyone is looking at Myanmar. The population size is so huge. Okay, the potential of consumption will be very large. But right now, because of the politics and regulation, is not so what to say, not so uh, comforting for the commercials to start their full-fledged development. But still, if you look at the right time, I think Myanmar will be a very good market for many business, including logistics also. But if you look back in Thailand, most of the logistic activity has been there and quite mature. So if you look into jumping into these, you're gonna need to look at what market has your opportunity, and e-commerce is one of that. But also, if you look to uh, uh, doing similar to what everyone is doing, it will be very difficult. So you need to be different, but you need to tap into the potential of the growing market segment, for example, the e-commerce. Apart from that, actually, what I want to talk about in terms of the interesting opportunity for logistics in Thailand is about the government policy. Uh, have you guys heard about the Eastern Economic Corridors, the EEC? Yeah, EEC is it has been the main project drive by this government for I think 4 or 5 years. They have been trying to develop these to make sure they can attract more investment in terms of making Thailand the central of the logistic and all manufacturing uh, industries in the region. So what the government is trying to put is that they specify the special economic zone in 3 provinces in Thailand, namely the Chonburi province, Chachoengsao province, okay, and the Rayong province. Okay, in these 3 provinces, they are trying to put a lot of investment in terms of development in many things, including the infrastructure like the railroad, the dual track rail, the high speed train, the motorway, expressway. Also, they want to try to develop the international airport in Rayong province. They want to develop a new deep sea port in Mataput. They want to also expand Lam Chabang into Lam Chabang Phase 3, which I already touched a bit earlier. And they also want to make this location to be a central tourism location also. So they try to put a very big amount of money into this region. You see, the budget for investment into this EEC project is more than 40 billion US dollars. So this is what the effort has been trying to, but I would say it has been very slow in terms of the response from the private sector. But still, if you ask me whether we support this project, I would say we totally support it because it is one of the key requirement if Thailand will survive or thrive in terms of the central of the AEC or the ASEAN Economic Community. We're gonna need this EEC to be successful. Okay. They want Thailand to be like center of all the transportation or route, whether from Europe or from the US or from Japan, Korea, China, whatever, so on. So they want to develop this up, and hopefully it will be successful. So if you look into this, okay, if the government is trying so much to promote the EEC, okay, so if you look into doing logistic business right now, definitely you're gonna need to really look into doing logistic in the EEC region because you have a lot of privilege, and also if the project can attract a lot of investor in terms of the manufacturer, the industry, the factory, they will all need to use additional logistic service. So if you have the land, if you have the location inside this region, it will be beneficial for you. Okay, and it's really lucky. I would say lucky because JWD we already stays there for like 30 years. We've been in Lam Chabang, we've been in Suwintawong, which is in Chak Cheng Sao province as well. So our main locations are in EEC right now. So if people asking us about EEC, we definitely will support it. But whether it will be successful or not, we still need to wait and see. Okay, but this is one of the main focus project that I think government needs to push it forward, and there has to be success, I would say. Apart from the EEC itself, Thailand has been a part of what we call the Greater Mekong Subregion. Have you heard about the Greater Mekong Subregion? Do you know Mekong? What is Mekong? Alexia, do you know what is Mekong? No. Mekong is one of the main river. Okay, it's a main river that cross many countries, including Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. Yeah. So they will try to use this word Mekong also cross through Vietnam. So they will say Mekong subregions mean that all the countries that this river has runs through, calling a group of Greater Mekong subregion. Basically, it includes Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and also it includes Myanmar. It's includes Myanmar. So in these 5 countries, we call GMS, and this GMS has been cooperate with China, okay, in trying to building a dedicated, what we call corridor. Corridor is a linkage in terms of transportation, whether it be a road transport or a rail transportation, to link all these countries together. You see here from this map, a lot of corridor has been drawn from China down to Kunming, down to Thailand, Bangkok, and down to Phnom Penh and to Ho Chi Minh City, and from east to west, from Myanmar, through Thailand to Laos to Vietnam, something like that. So there are so many corridors, and all these corridors, you see, almost all of them cross past Thailand. You see, at least 6 of these routes pass Thailand, and this is a cooperation that we have been doing together with China, and this is matching with the initiative or effort of China to build what we call once called one belt one road. Have you heard about one belt, one road? Yeah, okay. Have you heard about the word the Silk Road? The Silk Road? Yeah. Is this a trade route from China to Europe? Very old, very ancient trade route. You know, they want to re-establish this kind of Silk Road again, and they call it the initiative One Belt, One Road. Okay, One Belt, One Road. Right now, actually, they have changed the name to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, so why this is important? This is important because if it is successful, it will link China to so many countries. You see the map there, both for the Eastern Asia, Africa, Europe. This all include in this trade route. And what China is trying to do is to build the train to transport goods directly from China to Europe. So that is their grand plan. And in many people's opinion, including me, it's myself, so I believe they have the potential to do this as well if they're really serious. And I think they are very serious. So if they can do this, they can like compete in terms of the being the commercial giant, bringing a lot of revenue and trade potential. So right now the US become quite intimidated by this kind of initiative. So that's kind has bring a lot of problem in these past few years, like the trade war and all those policy as well. But this One Belt One Road initiative, okay, if linked together with the ASEAN corridor in the Greater Mekong sub-region, okay, will bring the linkage of Thailand and the region of GMS into so many countries. So we have been cooperate with China in terms of the government of Thailand and the Chinese government have been trying to put the initiative together, and hopefully we can build some linkage to make sure that we have been included as a part of the China New Silk Road initiative. If this is happening together with GMS and together with the EEC, then it means that Thailand could be a new center of logistics for ASEAN. So this is very interesting, and that's why I think everyone is looking at logistics right now as a very high potential business. When we come to the stock markets, we start listed 5 years ago. When we first enter the market, everyone is interesting and very exciting in our business because nobody in the stocks exchange of Thailand is doing the real full-fledged logistics, same as what we do. So everyone is excited that we can be the one who really get benefit from this kind of development. But the logistic development has never been fast because it's involving a lot of infrastructure development. So after 5 years, still EEC is not there. Okay, and the One Belt One Road initiative of China is still slow. So we still need to wait and see. But we believe it is the way that we need to move, that the government needs to move. So we still have a very high expectation in terms of this project, and hopefully it will bring a lot of success in terms of the bringing Thailand at a central location in terms of the uh, commercial, economics, and also logistics. Yeah, so we still need to wait and see. There are funny things about this, and let me talk about this page a little bit. You see, there are one linkage from Myanmar out to Vietnam. You see this yellow line. You know, for more than 5-6 years, this line can never be complete. You know why? Because for this portion, everything is already ready. From Thailand, we can run very convenient truck transport through Laos and through Vietnam. The road is very good. Laos and Vietnam cooperate. They build a very good road. But the problem is here, in Myanmar, the road is very bad. Have you ever been traveling to Myanmar, you should try. It's a very nice country. I would say it's a very nice country, but for logistics, not so convenient. You know, the road is so bad. If you run the truck through that road, your truck could break down. So at the end of the day, you cannot have the east-west corridor because Myanmar just don't want to build it right now, and we understand them because they also like now they're busy with their own politics and all those whatever mess they still have in their countries. So if Myanmar is ready and this corridor is complete, it means that we don't need, what happen. What will happen if this is complete? Sorry, I didn't include the whole ASEAN map. You know what will happen if this is complete? It means that the shipment from east and west can go through this directly. What does it mean? It means it doesn't need to go through here. It doesn't need to stop here. So Singapore will lose some benefit. So this kind of initiative, there are a lot of initiative that also involve some benefiting party, and some party will losing some benefit. So there are some politics into that and this, and there are so many things, But anyway, this is the way to go. So I hope once Myanmar is ready and the corridor is ready, the logistic development will go much further than what we have today. Yeah, and the linkage between east and west will be a lot better. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, this is about e-commerce. Actually, I have touched a bit about e-commerce already. E-commerce is growing so fast right now, and the people in Thailand, they are really keen on using this. I think in many countries around the world right now, they are using this, especially in this kind of the shutdown situation. People need to buy food, sending to the Grab service or Uber service, something like that. So it will boost up the usage rate of e-commerce. People who never use it will try to or learn to use it now. So the growth will be much faster. And when we talk about logistics of the e-commerce, when we talked earlier, I want to simplify it. So you think about the e-commerce logistics as a retail distribution. You mean that the fleet of motorcycle or the fleet of the pickup trucks will send the product to your home. That is what we call the last mile delivery, or retail distribution. That is what we talked before. Okay, but actually, the business flow in terms of logistics of e-commerce is not just the retail or last mile delivery, but actually it includes since the import of the cargo, which will involve the freight forwarding, it will involve the port operation, the ICD, and all those things. Okay, but that is a larger scale. It's a B2B scale. But actually, in e-commerce, there is one part of logistics is really crucial when you want to do a successful e-commerce distribution. It is called fulfillment. Okay, the term is not so meaningful. When we talk about the word fulfillment, people get confused. What is fulfillment? Okay, when you think about have you ever buy from Lazada with product from multiple sellers, or maybe buying from Amazon from many sellers, and then when it comes to your home, it comes through one package. Okay, how does the product from many sellers come into one package? Because somebody pick it and put it into a box, right? So the process of picking the product from each seller or in the warehouse in different position into a box is called order fulfillment. It means to fulfill the order of the customer. In Lazada warehouse, they will have a lot of product from different vendors storing in their distribution center. In that distribution center, when the order placement comes, okay, they need to go picking the product in their warehouse according to that order and put into the box. That is called the fulfillment. Okay, so when you want to do the e-commerce, it's not just that you can deliver the box to the customer fast. You need also to fill in the box fast and accurately. So that is also a part of business of e-commerce. So when we talk about e-commerce logistics, there are three parts of logistics: the import, the fulfillment, and the delivery. Okay, so coming back to JWD right now today, we don't do the delivery much because it's a volume game, and it has been controlled by some bigger players that have a very nationwide coverage like Thai Post or Curry Express. But we mostly do what we mostly do is the fulfillment. So we have a fulfillment center, and we are looking into building a new automated fulfillment center right now together with our partner CJ Logistics Korea. This is one clip video example of a fulfillment center of Amazon, so that you can see a more clearer picture of what is it actually. Let me turn on the clip for you. Okay, so that's pretty much you see the opportunity that we see in Thailand. There are some potential for the logistics, including the government policy to push it, and also the growth in terms of the there are some voice from Juice. Could you please mute your mic, please?
Showing any signs of pressure at the moment. The Australians are very cool and calm before this game. But the Swiss are battling away chicken wing, but the Aussie's starting to grow. Better.
Okay, it's getting better now. Okay, so I would say when you look at the opportunities in Thailand, okay, they are both come from the push of the government itself and also from the growth in terms of the industry, especially the e-commerce segment. That is very interesting in terms of if you want to look into what kind of business in terms of logistics opportunity that could happen in Thailand. But I have also included one section of our today's discussion regarding the current situation that was happening. Okay, we are having quite a big trouble right now with the pandemic situation. Nobody ever expect this to happen. I think you guys also feel a bit worried staying here instead of staying home, right? So I don't know how long it's gonna last, and a lot of business has been suffering at the moment. Okay, I would say because Thailand, we are a tourism-based country, so once this has impact, a lot of main business has been going down, like the hotels, restaurant, the tourism, and all those things, or the public facility like the department store, the shops, or everything has been need to be stopped. So that has impact Thailand as a whole quite a lot. So when we come and look at our focus here, we look at the impact that this situation may have for logistics. So when we look at this, initially everyone would think, hey, what would happen with logistics if the pandemic situation will not stop? Okay, I like to hear from your opinion. Okay, from your understanding of the logistics. Okay, and with the current pandemic situation, how do you think the COVID situation will impact logistics? Okay, Yuan, could you help me on this?
Yes, I think the virus is like getting really serious among whole world, and it's definitely like pose like big threats to all the business. Because I'm Chinese, I know that for all the business except medical, it like damage really bad, especially for like small business. For example, if you're like running a restaurant, or if you doing like small business, like small trading, like you are like selling small like you know, like those stuff you can buy from shops. They like closed for a couple of months now, so they're not like gaining any interest. They're not like making any money, so it's really hard for them to live. For like bigger business, I think it's still like it's hurt a bit, hurt the economy really bad. For example, like all the cinema closed, and like people just most likely they're just gonna stay at home because you're not allowed to go outside. So all this like business, they are like closing down for 2-3 months, and I'm pretty sure that the cash flow for is gonna be a big problem for the company, because they like running out of cash, because they still have to maybe pay for the rents, or you still have to pay for the employees. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think it will impact logistic business?
For logistics, I know that the delivering, for example, some like Carry Express, but not like this like same stuff in China, is operating because people still like buying stuff online. For example, like the masks or like hand sanitizer, they still have to use the online shopping. But for like bigger business, I'm pretty sure it's gonna affect their business, because people are not gonna buy that much stuff online.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Sion. Very helpful. So I would say, initial impression in terms of COVID, logistic business is somehow a bit lucky, I would say, because we are not the first tier of business to be impacted by this kind of situation. You know, uh, the trading company, the restaurant, the shopping malls, hotels, tourism, airlines will be the first tier to impact. Okay, but we are maybe tier 2 or tier 3 to have the impact from this. But in the long run, nevertheless, we still will get some impact. Okay, when we look at the business itself, there are importance of moving stuff. Okay, when you cannot move people, or people cannot move anywhere, you need to move goods. The goods must be able to be mobilized. So it is quite clear that the goods logistic cannot be stopped. So anyway, the logistic business still keep on running. So that is one luck that we have, but it will not be that easy anyway. Okay, why? Because even though you can run your business, okay, you know you cannot run a business without customers. So who is your customers? When they want to store the product in your warehouse, when they want to transport the product to somewhere, okay, you need to give them a credit term. So at the end of the day, if every business face a cash flow situation, okay, they will not be able to pay. So even though JWD or any other logistics service provider can still operate during this period of time, we still need to keep close monitoring with our customers, because if they are unable to pay their AR, we will at the end of the day run out of cash also, because we also have fixed costs to pay. So that is one thing we're gonna need to really look into and be very careful. But anyway, in this kind of situation, actually there are a lot of opportunity that have arisen in terms of logistic business. Somehow we are trying to look into the situation and find some opportunity in there. I believe there are always some opportunity in there if you look deep enough. In this COVID situation also, the behavior of business and people have been changed. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of people has already coming out and say that, hey, the post-pandemic world, we will have a lot of shifted behavior. People will tend to work in from distance more, use technology more, and they're trying to use e-commerce to buy their stuff. They feel the convenience of this kind of thing more, and people who haven't tried it needs to try it now because they are forced to. So with this kind of behavior change, there rise an opportunities for logistics service provider, and I have listed here a few of them, so that it could guide you for some idea in terms of the situation. I think you can also apply this to other business. I think in every business you're gonna need to find some way to survive or to adapt to the situation. Uh, it could be a little bit more easy for logistics, I think, because we still, uh, I would say, logistics is still, let's say, very important in this kind of situation. So that's like I said on this slide, this crisis helps stress the importance and the opportunity of logistics and supply chain business in various aspects. Okay, so I put it here in two things. The first one is the necessity of goods logistics in the pandemic situation, and the second one, the technology and logistics. Okay, for as I mentioned already, if the people cannot move, you know, if the people cannot move and the shop are closed, you need to be able to move the goods to the people. If you cannot move the goods to the people, everyone dies. So right now, the importance of goods logistics has become very, very clear. Okay, so the opportunity is there. It just depends on whether you can really emphasize or capture those opportunities. I think one of the most the clearest or most obvious things that what's happening today is people are buying food through the mobile app, and you use some uh, Grab delivery or what to say, so many Food Panda or so many brand right now uh, to send you the food at your home or your place. So this is the opportunity that has arisen, and I think people are now trying to start emphasizing more on this. So apart from just sending the food directly to the uh, home, there are also the opportunity arising in the backbone of the logistics. When you do e-commerce, when people trying to buy stuff online, you know, you need to be able to distribute it properly, and the distribution center is become very important. If the e-commerce will growing much faster, then you're gonna need to have a lot higher sorting capabilities. I show you already the video clip from Amazon Fulfillment Center, and that is already happening in Thailand. We have a lot of distribution center and fulfillment center like that in Thailand now, and there will be more after this pandemic situation. Okay, and apart from this itself, what we experience in JWD ourselves is that a lot of customer comes to us, both existing and new customer. They come to us, they said, hey, I want to use your service now because our main warehouse stays in this location, only one main location. If it is being locked down, then all our inventory is gone. So they want to mitigate the risk by dividing their inventory and store it in many locations, like in Lam Chabang, in Mahachai, in Ayutthaya, in many locations. So this way, right now we have captured a lot of new customer, I would say. Right now we have gained a number of new customer and new job from customer in order to help them mitigate this risk. One of my friends, a very famous beverage brand, okay, urged us that they want to move their stuff to our warehouse in Lam Chabang within 3 days. This happened like 2 weeks ago. Because our business development team told them they need around 7 to 10 days to move. And then the owner called me directly. She needs it in 3 days. Is that possible? Definitely that will come with additional charge and whatever so on. But we done it for them. So that's an opportunity, you see, for the people who stay in this kind of situation. There are always opportunity if you look for it. And the distribution center is also another opportunity that we have experienced. Another important thing that is happening right now is about the healthcare and pharmaceutical logistics. With this kind of pandemic situation, the requirement for the healthcare product and all those things will be growing quite fast. Okay, we are also trying to look into the opportunity whether we can capture this. We have already actually worked with the one of the partner. Actually, I can tell them their name right now because it's already in the news. We work with Thai Post in delivering their healthcare product nationwide, and we are looking into working more with them to support the hospital and all those things if the requirement is there, especially this kind of situation. The pharmaceutical logistics will be very important. So this is another thing in logistics that is happening right now. And I think even after the pandemic situation, we'll still be developing more. Okay, so these are the opportunity that we see in terms of the new business. But on the other hand, we are not just talking about how to acquire new business or how to develop new market, but we also need to incorporate the technology into logistics, because the development in the past decade, I would say, especially the past 3 to 5 years, the technology has become like the second necessity factor for people right now. Everyone needs a mobile phone. They do everything on their mobile phone. So they want to be able to control everything from their mobile phone as well. So with this kind of requirement, also our customer needs that. And also our own operation needs to also be able to, support the needs of the customer. And with the growth of the quantity of volume of logistic requirement, it has become more and more difficult to use just a pure labor to work for logistics. So right now there are a lot of technology that has been incorporated into logistic industries. I listed on this slide for you four most important global logistic trends that I think in JWD Group ourselves, we also have started to applying some of these into our operation. I'm not sure whether you guys have been familiar with these four things. The first one is the robotics, okay, robotics, and the big data and Internet of Things and blockchain. Okay, let me try to talk about it a little bit for each of them. The first one is the automate or robotics system. Right now, a lot of logistic companies trying to start incorporate the automatic system into their operation, especially the automated warehouse, so that they don't need to use as much people in their operation anymore. Okay. In JWD ourselves, we also start building robotic warehouse. We have just completed a fully automated warehouse, which is a cold storage warehouse, last July, and it is fully operated right now. With this kind of operation, we reduce the labor cost a lot, because in the past, the labor may be cheap, but right now the skilled labor become very expensive and sometimes difficult to to please them all the time, and they need holidays, they need to go home, and we sometimes cannot find Thai staff. We're gonna need to find some foreign staff like the staff from uh, Cambodia or Myanmar or Laos to help us to do operation inside warehouse. This become very difficult in terms of the foreign workers and all those things. Okay, and also there are a lot of safety concerns in terms of when you import unskilled labor there are a lot of safety concern when you operate in a warehouse, and the accuracy, efficiency, and everything is there. That is a concern when we use the staff that is not very much trained. So to resolve this kind of things, so we try to bring in the automate system. Definitely, it will require higher initial investment. Okay, but in the long run, it will be proof more efficient. Okay, there are some unknown before we install the system, because we don't know whether if we install this automate system, we're gonna need to repair it a lot, or how high it's gonna be about the maintenance cost, whatever so on. But luckily, we chose our partner uh, quite well. We use a Japanese equipment partner, and they help us in the designing and installation, everything in designing the software, and everything has been quite smooth until now. So we after the first successful project, right now we have already started build 2 new warehouse with the automate system. One is the cold storage, and another one is the document storage warehouse I mentioned earlier. Here is the clip video. This is from our own warehouse. This is from our own warehouse in Mahachai. This is automate warehouse where we can reduce the number of labor by half, and also reduce the electricity usage by half as well, because in cold storage, if you use people driving the forklift in and out all the time, you will lose the temperature, and you need to put a lot more energy into bringing the temperature down to minus 18 degrees. With this kind of robotic system, it will work by itself inside in the closed box. So you don't need to open the door all the time. So thereby help you save the energy. You don't need to turn on the light, because the robotic doesn't need to see anything. They use just the motor control. So this has been quite good, and I like to share with you about this robotic system. Yeah, so you see, in that warehouse, we do not need to let's say, use any people. So I have been trouble with the menu right now. How can I bring up the menu? Just a moment. Menu high lah. You still see the slide right now?
No.
No? Okay, just a moment. I'm still there, right? Okay, let me share again.
Okay. We can
Okay, you see it now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, you see, from this warehouse, we don't need to use any people. So it can still be fully operated during this pandemic situation, because we don't want so many people to stay close together. Luckily, we use this kind of robotic system, so we can still operate fully 24 hours. So incorporating the technology into the operation is a way to go, and you're gonna need to really try to embrace it, because if you don't do it, so in the near future you lose the competition. So this is one example that we have been doing. Another thing that we have been trying to do, and I think all the logistics service provider have been trying to do, especially in these days of e-commerce and social networking world, so is to try to utilize the big data. There are a lot of big data in everywhere. When you use the Facebook, when you search the Google. Sometimes, you know, I feel also quite upset when I search for something on the Google and the next day I open the Facebook, there is an ad on that kind of thing that I searched the other day on my Facebook. You know, how could that happen? Because they try to collect all your information and try to predict your behavior or predict what you need. Okay, that is big data analysis, and that, you know, can also be utilized in logistic business. When we try to collect the big data information from the customer, their behavior, their timeline, uh, when destination that they tend to send to from each customer, what kind of product, the expiry date, the timeline, the lead time, the payment date, whatever, so on. We can plan properly the logistic route and the just-in-time logistic management for the customer. And that can also help us to maximize our operating efficiency. You know, in operation of the trucking or transportation business, you know, when you operating the truck, once you buy one truck, what is your main requirement? Your main requirement is that that truck needs to run all the time. You know, you cannot stop that truck, because if you stop that truck, you will pay the interest for free. So you need it to make money all the time and run all the time. If you can run it all the time, meaning that when you use the truck to send or transport the goods from one location A to location B, then you need to be able to plan the routing to go to C or D and go back to A in every hop with some goods into it. It meaning that we need to plan both the forward and back haul properly in order to fully utilize every trip of our truck. In order to be able to plan that kind of sophisticated requirement from the customer, you're going to need to use the big data analysis. That's why right now in most logistic business, they try to collect this kind of big data. You know, when you order things through, let's say Shopee or Lazada, and then you use Curry Logistics or Curry Express, and you use Lala Move, you use Lazada Express, you do whatever brand. They collect your information, your name, your address, time of buying, product you buy, whatever, so on. And they use that to design the routing plan. Apart from the commercial advertisement, they use that to design the routing plan for you. This is an example of a dashboard that we use for our own fleet management. We collect the data from the customer and we make a dashboard, okay, to analyze the behavior of the customer and how we can really plan our operation to maximize the efficiency. Okay. Let's see one video clip here. Just a moment.
Social media makes it possible for trends to explode globally and instantaneously.
At Damco, we are specialized in supply chain solutions that require specific, very dedicated customer focus. We help companies create efficiency and meet market demands so they can stay ahead. Now, trends can ignite, and we need to help companies react fast. The customers do expect that we know exactly what is happening by when, and that we are very reactive if disruptions are happening. An excellent way to do this is by creating visibility. We need to think out of bounds what else is out there. This is where Microsoft Services comes into the equation in helping us to think about what is the next step.
For example, Damco works with companies in the fashion industry. If a video of one of their products goes viral, they may get a sudden surge in demand.
So we partner with Microsoft Services to transform the way that we monitor our customers' supply chain. And that is where Damco is using technology that helps us to see the trends happening before the orders are there. With the addition of IT, we have been able to innovate and streamline services. Now everyone along the supply chain is on the same page with Damco app and can see disruptions as they happen and react much more quickly. The Microsoft Cloud has transformed the way data moves from endpoints to cloud and directly to our app. What in the past has taken us 6 to 9 months, we can do now in 3 to 5 working days. What you need is a partner that helps you day in and day out on this journey when you run into concrete obstacles and concrete problems. And this knowledge transfer to help us to become a digital company, this is where Microsoft Services helps us a lot. Becoming a digital company is predominantly about the user experience of our clients. Decisions about disruptions can be made instantaneously, logistics can adapt, and demand can be met. This is the real differentiator. At Damco, our promise and philosophy is to stay ahead. With Microsoft help, we are doing just that.
Yeah. So this is not an advertisement for Microsoft. I just see it's a good example. You might wonder if you will buy some stuff from Alibaba and they can send to you within a matter of few days. You know, because that stuff sometimes stored in Thailand warehouse, because they have the big data to analyze which SKU that Thai people tend to buy a lot, and they move that product into their local domestic warehouse beforehand. You know, that is to maximize efficiency in their sales and transportation. So this is one example of how they utilize big data in logistics. Okay. We also have what we call the Internet of Things. Internet of Things mean everything is connected to the internet. For what purpose? The purpose of connecting everything to internet is to make sure that it communicates, and it can communicate from everywhere. So when you use IoT attached to the stuff or your equipment, it can send data back to your headquarters or head office all the time. For example, one application of IoT that we have done is to put the temperature sensor into our refrigerator truck together with the GPS. So our customer can monitor the location of the truck and the temperature of the truck that goods has been stored in at all time. You know, this is one example of the IoT that we have been applied, and this can be also applied to so many application. This is one of the example report that we use in reefer truck temperature control. Here you see the graph of the temperature and also the GPS location of the truck when it make a delivery, something like that. Yeah, and we put it in a central war room data, and we can monitor all the activities of our trucks. Yeah. Also, I have another clip here for you. Okay, so just an example of how we can really try to utilize this Internet of Things into the logistic and all those kind of business. There are also one.
Can I have a question about the video?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Maybe you have the idea, but I was thinking that if somebody who is under 18 goes into the shop and wants to buy something like alcohol that's prohibited for the underage people, how do they prevent it? So the youngsters can't buy it.
I think there are some mechanism in terms of the identification. I think if they want to get into the shop, they need to touch the mobile phone, right, for the Amazon Go, right? So I think that will be some way to ID the people, what their age are. But I think they can steal their parents' mobile phone, I would say. But anyway, I think that is the difficult things, but the parent needs to control their device carefully if it can do this much, right? And if that can be identified, I mean, if the kids use their mobile phone getting in, they can buy some sweets or some milk or snacks and then coming out, that is okay. But if they buy some prohibited item like the cigarette or something like that, maybe there could be some alarm or whatever so on. I think that it's possible to design that kind of system. It's possible to do so with the technology, but I think this is just a pilot. So it's an idea of how they would try to implement it. But in our operation itself, we, as I mentioned to you, we already also apply Internet of Things in our truck in order to control the temperature and monitor and also give the information to the customer to see. This give the impression for the customer to feel a lot more comfortable using our service, and also make sure we have a stickiness in terms of differentiate our service from other competitors, something like that. This is what we've been trying to do, and we are trying to find some more useful application of Internet of Things right now. Yeah. So still need to see how it develops. There is also another technology I put on this slide, but I would say right now blockchain has not much use in real life for the logistic because there are some roadblocks. You know, I'm not so sure if you guys understand what is blockchain. Blockchain is a mechanism, a digital mechanism to make sure of the originality of the data or the product that the document that you have received, because the product that you ship or product that you send together with the original document certify its origination, something like that. If it comes with a blockchain, you can be sure that you are not buying a counterfeit product. For example, if you buy a Nike shoes, okay, you can be sure that you are not buying a fake Nike shoes, okay, with the blockchain. Okay, so I have a clip video give you some introduction of blockchain, how it is. But blockchain has been introduced into logistics to make sure that the whole supply chain is authenticated, that it is truly original, and you can trace back as the end user the original product source. But as I mentioned today, there are still a big roadblock because a lot of government, they are still not embracing the blockchain. Because if the blockchain will help you to trace the product back to the original manufacturer, every part in the hub of the documentation need to use the same blockchain system. But the custom, clearance, and all those government bodies right now, they still prefer their own proprietary system without the blockchain. Or some of them deploy paperless already, but still not compatible with the blockchain. So it is impossible to trace the originality of product back beyond the customs. That's why the blockchain now, if it is used in logistics, mostly used for domestic distribution. But if you want to use for international distribution, right now the blockchain is still not so popular. But hopefully, if the government and the customs will embrace this in the near future, the blockchain will be the future of logistics, because it helps reduce a lot of paper requirement, and it also helps you to make sure that the product that you receive are true and not counterfeit product. let's see a short clip video of this one so that you can understand more about what is blockchain.
How do you know that the coffee that you bought is actually fair trade? How do you know which one is real? How do you know that this t-shirt has not been made in a sweatshop with a simple tag added at the end? You simply don't. In order for you to be certain, you would need a record of all transactions and events of the life of an item. That would be possible with blockchain. What's a blockchain? That's a fancy word. Blockchain is related to Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. Initially, it was made for financial transactions, but it is now revolutionizing the business world, especially supply chain. It's just like Google Sheets. With regular transactions, there is a middleman like the bank that registers this transaction, a centralized system like Microsoft Word. But with Bitcoin, transactions are between user to user. So when there's a transaction, the information is recorded in a shared ledger or block. And these blocks are linked together to form a blockchain, like a shared Google Doc. Transaction accuracy is driven by the fact that consensus creates truth. In a blockchain database, every participant or node maintains a copy of the shared ledger. Each transaction on the blockchain is recorded in computer code showing who the parties are, transaction details, and timestamp with each containing the unique math-based encrypted signature. This digital signature is key as it allows each block of information to be securely connected to all the rest. It's this system of full transparency and connectedness that lends the blockchain its trust and credibility. This connection provides an audit trail of every transaction that's ever occurred in a system. So, if there were an unauthorized change, each node is notified and we can see where it took place. They then would agree to recognize the change as valid or rejected. Again, transparency and consensus combine to make the blockchain system virtually tamper-proof. Today, your data is stored in silos, just like a Microsoft Word file. When blockchain, your data will be stored publicly or pseudo-anonymously in a shared database. Now with blockchain, you can track the chronological history of the organic cotton shirt that you bought. You cannot tamper or cheat because everyone using the system is watching you. The blockchain revolution isn't going to happen overnight, but it is expected to change our lives like the wheel did, or the electric motor and the internet itself. I believe that this blockchain would be the next industrial revolution.
Yeah, so okay, before going to the quiz. So basically that is the blockchain. So you see what I mentioned here, actually, let me go back to the topic of what we are discussing. We were just discussing the opportunity of logistics in Thailand, and we are discussing the opportunity of logistics in the post-pandemic situation. So you see there are a lot of opportunity if you look into the situation, and also right now, if you try to deploy some technology into the development of logistics, you could be able to penetrate into this business. You don't need, maybe I mentioned in the earlier slides, you need to invest a lot into the port, invest a lot into the ICD, warehousing, and all those things. But actually, if you are a technology guy and you want to penetrate the logistic market, maybe you don't need to invest in that much. You can look into this kind of new cutting edge technology that can be applied directly into logistic world and selling the system to logistic operator around the world as well. So that is one thing also that you can think about when you want to try to do the logistic, and that we also go along quite well with the theme of the post-pandemic world, that the people has been changing their behavior, the social distancing, and all the internet networking are more emphasized than physical meeting. So I think those pretty much wrap up what I'm trying to talk to you about the logistic business. and the logistic business as a whole in Thailand and also in the region, and some opportunities that you can maybe trying to study more detail if you feel interested. I'm not so sure. There are around 15 minutes left from now. Do you guys have any question or want me to speak more detail about something that you may be interested in? Okay. Okay. If there is nothing, then let me go ahead to. I didn't want this actually, but okay. The staff say I need to have some. So I'm putting a quiz here. Very easy quiz for you. I think just write down your opinion. Okay, no need to be really elaborate or really long. Maybe just one page of A4, something like that, and then you send me an email explaining your opinion on how do you think about the post-pandemic business environment in Thailand will be. Let's say just in Thailand. How there is no right or wrong here, just your opinion. How do you think the post-pandemic situation in terms of business environment in Thailand will be? Okay, and according to that, okay, suggest your idea on how logistic business can thrive in such an environment. So give me just your opinion and idea. Maybe you can just trying to digest what we discussed today, looking at the slides, and maybe looking for some additional information if you like from the internet, and then just try to formulate something for me, just a one page. No need to be really long because I just want to make sure you guys understanding what we are discussing and have some thinking regarding the current situation. Please send your answers to my email address here. I put email address here, ekapong@jwd-logistics.com. Okay, and please put the subject quiz on doing logistic business in Thailand, followed by your name and student ID, so that I can identify your email more quickly, because there are a lot of emails coming to my mailbox every day. So please use the same topic or subject so that I can search it more easily. Do you guys have any question regarding the quiz here? Okay, no. Ajahn Peter, when should they submit this?
Okay. I think it was like you guys had to finish it within like 24 hours, right? If I remember correctly. Is it?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think Lalita will tell you.พึ่งครับ. When do they have to finish it? The quiz, like in 24 hours. พึ่งอยู่ไหม? Okay.
เพิ่งปิดไมค์อยู่
คุณเพิ่งปิดไมค์อยู่ครับ.
The deadline could be on Wednesday next week. Is that possible?
Oh, Wednesday next week. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
That's good.
That's better. That's better.
That's better than 24 hours.
24 hours is too tough.
Too tough. That's good. Okay.
We have to convert into the YouTube for today.
Oh yeah, that's right. We will provide them with the video within 24 hours. Right. That's right. Okay. That's good. So hopefully you guys learn a lot, and I really enjoy like listen. I have to like go in and out because my kid is right next to me, so I have to turn off the camera. So working at home is like always with kids. So okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Yeah, nice to meet you guys. Hope to see you again.
All right,
thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.